Guys, welcome. Thank you for coming on short notice here. We're going to adjust this microphone for the three very different heights you're going to see here today. But we have this is a special day for us at Florida Atlantic University. Without further ado, I don't know how many have had the opportunity to meet our president, but obviously this has been a great experience for he and I, because we got to engage with some quality people, but we ended up with the exact person who's the right fit for us. So our president, John Kelly.
Thank you very much, and I want to thank all of you for coming out this evening. We have a very special announcement to make tonight. First of all, my goal is that Florida Atlantic University become one of this nation's most nationally prominent institutions, and we've made a great step tonight. We're bringing to your attention tonight a person who's educated future leaders, a person who is expecting the same in his student athletes. We're looking for a leader who can serve as a mentor to our basketball players, be a leader for our athletic department and all our students, and also someone who is a role model for the community. As our athletic director will detail, Michael Curry joins FAU with 2 decades of basketball experience. Michael's career has been a success on the court, but most importantly is his leadership off the court. Michael brings to FAU an extensive background in collegiate basketball. He was a player and coach at the sport's very highest level, the National Basketball Association. He also has the intimate knowledge of the business of basketball. We're confident Michael Curry is going to be a winner. He's going to be our men's basketball coach. He's going to be a leader. We're confident he is going to help us educate and graduate future leaders. These are all reasons why Michael is the right fit for FAU. And let me say, having met Michael personally, he is a man of the highest integrity. He is a person that's going to be out in the community. He's a person that we're all going to be able to respect, a person that we're going to look up to, and a person that the young men who come play for him will lead a life of integrity, a life of leadership, and a life of commitment to serving others. I'd like to introduce now, you've already met him, but Pat Chun, the athletic director, to make the formal announcement.
First of all, I'd like to thank President Kelly for all his support, insight, counsel throughout this process. I'd also like to thank David Keon from our General Counsel Office for his work in a very quick time frame here. First of all, on behalf of our university, our local community here, we're ecstatic to welcome Katrina and Michael to Boca Raton, to Florida Atlantic University. You will find a wonderful community that wants to embrace FAU. In all of our dealings, this community wants us to be successful at the highest levels. You will feel that love. They will embrace you, and I'm excited to see how they react when you guys embrace them back. But this is a growing community that really wants us to do well, and I believe we're heading in that direction. Today is a momentous day for our athletic program and our men's basketball program. We have recruited and attracted a uniquely qualified person to lead our program. Ultimately, if you heard Dr. Kelly's comments, that theme leadership was really at the forefront of how we profiled our next head basketball coach. We want a basketball team or basketball program that really understands what culture is, what excellence means. To get to that point, we really needed to take a step back and really define what leadership in that program was meant to be. When I started to do my due diligence on Michael, his reputation in the circles of basketball, the 2 things that popped out of people's mouth: unquestioned integrity, unquestioned character. And then for us, that's actually a non-negotiable to be a coach at FAU. So as you do more digging, do more due diligence, you find out, wow, that's not 1 or 2 people that believe this. It's everybody in and around the sport of basketball at the highest of levels, at the high school levels, at the college levels. And it all comes back to, at the end of the day, we're all the sum of our collective experiences. And he brings a extraordinary life experience, professional experiences to FAU. Michael earned a bachelor's degree at Georgia Southern in business administration, master's degree at Virginia Commonwealth. He did that while he was an active NBA player. Literally, when you hear all of his basketball experiences, he literally has a PhD in basketball. From a playing perspective, he started in Germany but ended up with 11 years of NBA experience for different teams. Ended up being head coach with the Detroit Pistons, most recently the associate head coach with the Philadelphia 76ers. Deeper than that, he was a vice president for operations for David Stern in the NBA offices, vice president for the NBA Developmental League, spent 4 years as president of the NBA Players Association. So when you put the whole package together, you're really taken aback and saying, wow, this guy has done so much in such a little bit of time. But really, it's a testament to what we had talked about, you are who you are habitually. That's really what he sold Dr. Kelly and I. And when you study Michael Curry and you get to know his reputation in the business, he's done it through hard work. I mean, to do it for 11 years in the NBA like he did it, it's character, hard work, fortitude, and commitment to be the best you can be. We believe all these will translate to be a very successful, highly successful Division I men's basketball coach. You guys understand our business is really focused on the recruitment and development of student athletes. We believe that his unique skill sets and his reputation in the sport of basketball will immediately have trust amongst high school coaches, AAU coaches, which obviously will lead to a different pool of young people we can attract to our university in terms of recruiting. Michael is a leader. In a majority of all of our, really in our first conversation we had, we talked about life coaching. And that was probably the thing that we probably need the most today, but we also understand, you guys have been around me long enough, we believe in this model wholeheartedly that if you develop the whole person, we're going to get a better student athlete. We believe Michael Curry is that person to get us there. We're ecstatic that he's our next head coach. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, our new head men's basketball coach, Michael Curry.
Wow, thank you. Dr. Kelly and your staff, and Patrick and his staff, and everyone that came out, I want to just say thank you from the bottom of my heart. It means a lot. And for my wife, who, when I told her I wanted to go on a different career path, believing in me and allowing me to run all around the country with her this year in the truck and catch 1 million basketball games so that I can be as prepared as possible with the high school and the collegiate game. And I want to thank her for that. You know, when we first sat down and talked, I came back, as my wife said, I came back from the meeting and I was smiling all day. Not just because I had the opportunity to talk about the head coaching position, but I actually thought that our conversation, that meeting, was more about doing things the right way to have success in life. The meeting went a good 3+ hours. We all sat right there and gave back and forth great information about what it takes to be successful, because everyone knows that to be successful in life, you know, a lot of the same characteristics and a lot of the same things you have to be and you have to do. We talked about working hard, being prepared, being disciplined, making good choices. The same things that we will be teaching our student athletes. We always have to remind ourselves we have to walk that same walk in order for them to follow it, because they actually follow what we do better than they do what we say. So we have to be what we say to our student athletes, and as a leader, we all have to do that. But we talked a lot about basketball. I was pleased with the opportunity to come in and share why I felt that this would be a great opportunity for us to join together. But the biggest thing that I took out of that was we constantly talked about having, you know, organizational alignment. And from Dr. Kelly on down, everybody lined up together, pulling in one direction for one common goal, to continue to grow Florida Atlantic University, as well as develop young men and women for the other sports. For this sport, the young men, make them better student athletes, make them better men. One of the things I talked about was that When I talk to parents about their young men attending Florida Atlantic, one of the things that I always would tell them is I want a young man that when he's finished, he has the opportunity to sit down at 9 o'clock with a suit on and interview for a Fortune 500 company. After that meeting, go put on his basketball gear and work out for a professional team. Now that's a well-rounded young man. But with that, as I tell parents, and I will continue to tell them, it takes a lot of work. It's not easy. It's not easy to be successful in life. It's not easy to become a professional basketball player. But one thing I know is if you put the work in, and we have the group together, and we will put a great staff together that we can give you the blueprint, and we're going to be on you really, really hard to achieve the things that you as a student athlete, your parents, guardians, or anyone in their support group want for them. And that's what we plan on doing. On the court, we're going to be really good defensively. I believe you win championships with defense and rebounding. As we know, I'm sure we heard the same thing with football. You got to win in the trenches. Doesn't matter. You got to win in the trenches, and in basketball, you got to win in the paint. So that's twofold. Offensively, we want to get to the paint. We think having a good flow offensively, getting into the paint, dribble penetration with the pass, getting in there, either finishing at the rim or getting to the free throw line, spreading the ball out so we can get three-point shots. That's the kind of offensive flow. Those are some of the general principles. Protecting the paint defensively, protecting the three-point line, because the game has changed. It's funny, when I came out of college in 1990, I had an opportunity to start a professional career in Europe. And when I went to Europe, the game was played. They would drive in and throw it back out for a three-point shot. And we had the big guy standing out on the perimeter, and he was 6'11", and he really could shoot the three. And my first 2 weeks, I was telling the big guy, get in the paint, get in the paint. And they was like, no, no, he can really shoot the three-point shot. And I was like, this is the craziest thing I've ever seen. And how crazy am I that, you know, 24 years later, the game has evolved to where it's a wide open game. It's fun to watch. It's fun to watch the different skill sets that all size players can have. And we want to recruit guys that can do that. We think if we play a style of basketball that's fun, we can do that. We talk to the players and talk to them about today. Everyone has a clean slate. We begin today to build for the future. We have a short time left before school is out, before the summer sessions start. And we have a short session before we bring in some other players, you know, for the next season. And one of the things I told the guys today is we got to clean up our house first before we bring in any guest. So when we bring in young players, whether it's other freshmen, whether it's a transfer, whatever players we bring in, we want them to come in and see how we're going to operate on a day-to-day basis. So they only see things done the right way. But before we can do that, we got to make sure we understand about doing it the right way and that we are doing it the right way. And so we're going to start that process on tomorrow. But my wife and I are ecstatic to be here, to be a part of a community, and call the place home. I mean, we've traveled so much. We was talking in the back. It seemed like all my offers in the NBA came from cold weather places. And so, you know, we was always sitting around wondering if we're gonna get an offer from a warm weather place. And no better time to get it now when those 15 years of pro ball are sort of wearing on my body now. that now I'm in a warm place. But more importantly, I'm with a warm group of people that really believe in doing things the right way. And, you know, I was excited. Then when I came back in for the next meeting, Dr. Kelly had me, I had goosebumps. I couldn't go to sleep. My wife was like, go to bed. It was like 2 o'clock in the morning, and I was like, we got to be good. We got to be really good. And if I get this job, you know, I got to make him proud, because he really wants the athletic program to mirror the great job that everyone has done here with the academics. And we want to continue to help grow this brand and be a part of it and do something really special. And that's what we're here to do. And I'm very excited to be here and be a part of it. And once again, thank all of you all for coming out. I know we'll take some questions, but really thank you for coming out. And both of you all, really thank you for the opportunity. And I'm gonna make you proud.
You want to open up for questions?
Michael, how did you prepare yourself to be a college head coach? This would be your first college job. What was that? You mentioned a trip where you went around the country learning. What was that trip like, and what were you trying to learn?
Well, a little background about my venture into the college game. Everybody that knows me, even throughout my playing career, I spent a lot of time in the summer with college basketball players. I always thought that NBA players, they picked up their basketball workouts in September. Being a guy that was a grunt role player, I've always felt I had to be in tip-top shape all the time. The best way for me to do that was to play with younger players that wanted to get to the higher levels, so I could get the best workouts in June and July with college players. What I learned during that time is what kind of impact I could have on them. And over time, I began to help a lot of the young players go to Europe by having them and some of the high school players work out with me. I get into the college season, and when we go on the road, I always was looking for things to do, and catching a college basketball game was always very exciting. So that helped me begin to think about, one day would I eventually be, you know, a college coach. I love everything about the college atmosphere. I love going to football games, as we talked about earlier. There'd be nothing for you to see me sitting outside at a soccer game or a baseball game. I just like the entire college atmosphere. But specifically this past year, you know, after the situation in Philadelphia and I didn't get the head position, you know, I kind of been back and forth talking with my lawyer over the last 4 or 5 years, and kind of wanted to do college, kind of waiting for a good opportunity in the NBA. But when the Sixers chose Brett Brown, I said, you know what, I can take this year off, and I can really dig deep into the college game. And so watching the college game, I watch games a little different, I think, sometimes, not just as a fan, but I watch games and I figure out how can I beat what they're doing defensively, or how can I stop what they're doing on the offensive end. I'm always thinking of the game that way. And then I start spending time so I can really evaluate, you know, the high school talent. And so I saw multiple high school tournaments and a ton of high school games, as well as helping a couple of teams that I'm very close with their high school coaches. So that was my journey this past year that took me all around. And I pretty much stayed Georgia, Florida, South Carolina. We pretty much was in those areas. And a little North Carolina, because my son is a director of basketball ops at Campbell, so I was up there some to see him. But that was my journey this past year with the digging deeper into the college game.
Pat, how did Michael come onto your radar initially?
Just like what a traditional search, I've reached out to people I know and respect in the business, and really in the infant stages, just taking a bunch of names and just figuring out who may be or may not be a good fit for us. And like I said, once I got around to doing homework on Michael, it was compelling, just because it's not I was telling someone earlier today, the mere fact he was a head coach in the NBA or assistant coach in the NBA is such a small fraction of the whole equation. It's one, he's in alignment in terms of core values with what we're trying to do. You guys heard me say many times how proud we are of the coaches we had, or we have here. I mean, John McCormick, I always tell everyone, sets the bar for us, and every coach we hire is in the same mold and fabric in terms of we're trying to recruit people that affect young people for the next 40 years of their life. So philosophically, once we sat down, we were absolutely on the same page with that. And I mean, simply by being in basketball as long as he has been, I mean, his basketball IQ is off the charts as well. But it was just one of those things. We studied a lot of people. At the end of the day, I'm proud of the fact that we ended up with the best person for us. But I'm glad we were able to go through a process that led us to the best person for our job.
How will you go about recruiting the process? What kind of players are you targeting?
We're going to target players for the level that we want to be. We want to be a top 25 team in the country. So we got to recruit some very good basketball players. But more importantly, we want to recruit good kids, good young men, should I say. The total package, as Pat was talking about, because the things that we talk about that we truly believe, if you get a young man that takes care of his business in the classroom, really believes in his academics, works extremely hard and is disciplined, my staff and I, we'll put them in place and we'll work them hard enough and we'll give them enough to be successful on the court. So if they can bring that to the table, we have a lot of things that we can give them to give them a chance to be successful. But, we want to build that way. And I just think that I like players with high basketball IQ. I think they perform well in close games. I like players that are disciplined. Because once again, the one that's disciplined, they'll go back to the gym. The one that's disciplined takes responsibility for how they play. The undisciplined player normally is the one that blames their teammates or the coaches for not putting them in the right place, whereas the disciplined player says, I was in the right place, I got to get better, and coach, what else can you help me in this area so that I can be better? So those are the type of players we're going to recruit. Like I said before, I want to play an up-tempo style on the offensive end, and just because you push the ball on the offensive end doesn't mean that you have to take quick shots. I want to take good shots, no matter if it's early or late in the shot clock, so that we always have good floor balance, and that's the beginning stages. Transition defense is the beginning stages of being a very good defensive team, and a lot of times how your offense performs dictates how well you can be on the defensive end, so it's all tied together.
Michael, what are your impressions of the team you're inheriting? What you've been able to see from them thus far? What excites you about it?
I watched a lot of the games, not necessarily the game tapes, but I watched each individual player, and I watched situations on Synergy. Synergy is sort of like the Cliff Notes version of game tape. And I watched the guys, and I went back and I began to ask coaches that had coached against them, some even in this conference, and some that coached against them or maybe even recruit them in high school. And one of the things that I said is a lot of them have had a lot of success in high school, and they haven't had the success here. And so what I told them, without going into why they didn't have the success before, what I want to know is if they still have the same goals and if they're still a young man that believes in hard work and having success on the court, if they're willing to follow, we can get them back to that point. And you know, we haven't been, we weren't a good team last year, so there's no way to sugarcoat that. We didn't shoot the basketball well. 42% field goal percentage offense. That's not going to win a lot of games, but I believe we're better shooters than that. I think we're better. We have a little bit better talent than that. Now I'm gonna get on the court with them, and you talk to me in a couple of weeks, I'll tell you if I'm right on pace with that or if not. But I just know that when we can shoot 38% from the three-point line, there's no reason to shoot 38% from the two. That means that either we're not taking as good of a shots or we're not getting the easy opportunities that we're going to try to put them in positions to do. And so that's my take on the guys. There's some guys that haven't played that has great size, and if they have the desires, we can carve out a role for them. And we're going to add talent. We got to add some players to come into the mix, because one of the things that my professional career taught me is the best way to get your starters to play well is have a guy coming off the bench that can replace him. That's when you can get a guy. So when people start talking about having some depth, that's why they talk about it. That's why coaches talk about it, because that makes your starters stay, stay on their toes. And your team right here, pro team right here in Miami, I was talking to Gary Waiters from Cleveland State about Norris Cole Sunday. And I say, people might not know how good of a player Norris Cole is, because I think he's really good. I said, but he's the reason that Mario Chalmers has played as well as he's played. Because if he doesn't, you can put Norris Cole in. So what we have to do is we got to get some guys to come in and make sure that they're capable of pushing guys that are going to end up starting and have competition every day at practice. That competition is the best way to get better and better faster.
What have you learned throughout your whole career in the NBA, as a player, as a coach, and what are the biggest qualities you're trying to bring to this team?
One of the biggest things I've learned, I say in my professional career, is that you do a lot of winning before you ever take the court. Your organization, how you prepare, your core beliefs, following those things, that gives you a head start down the road of having success. I also learned a lot with dealing with players, and we talked about this, and this is something that Pat believes in. And after I was fired in Detroit, I met a guy in Georgia, and we were sitting down talking. We see him every day, and we was talking about leadership. And he's a guy that had done a lot with in the medical field, had been a leader of a lot of different hospitals, and we talked about leadership. And he taught me something, and this was 4 or 5 years ago, that I truly believed in. And Patrick was laughing. He was like, I believe in the exact same thing. And as a leader, I think the thing that I can take that I learned from him was that he told me that people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And I think because of that, I've always been considered a good leader and been in leadership positions all my life, ever since Boy Scout. But I think my last 3 years I've been a much better leader because of that, because I understood and I understand now the #1 thing that I have to do first and foremost is to make sure that our student athletes know that we care. Whether they are going to be a major contributor to the success right away on the court, that we care about who they are and what their goals are, because ultimately at the end of the day, that's what we're here to do, to enhance their life and give them great opportunities to have success. And if they do that, they're going to enhance our brand, and we're going to be proud of them.